Start record. All right, so hopefully everybody has in their sketch, so I'm going to open up my sketch, dimensions. So in the bucket, you're going to find a dipping pan. So make sure that if you're doing a circle or something that's supposed to fit into a dipping pan, make sure you're constrained. I completely understand that the stuff on the inside of your bubble wand may not be dimensioned entirely, especially if you have a shape or something like the paw. I mean, you're not going to dimension an irregularly shaped like paw print, especially like these little line segments that I have in here. Honestly, I just kind of, for this demonstration, stuck some lines in here. And the reason why I have these little lines, which eventually are going to turn into the structure of the bubble wand, are so that these little paw circles don't fall out. And hopefully everybody from using the bubble wands have realized that you're going to need support in between these inside structures for when we make this. So my recommendation to start this project is to have a two-dimensional sketch of lines that represent, we'll call them paths, for where your wand structure is going to follow. And make sure you have a dimension so that you know how large this is going to be. All right. When you have that, then we're going to go ahead and finish our sketch. Okay. So now we have just a two-dimensional sketch. You're not going to see your dimension once you finish your sketch. You're just going to see your lines kind of floating there and Mr. A walking by, putting a shadow on the screen. All right. So normally we see this menu sitting right here. And some of you have accidentally had a menu that looks like this. It's orange. And then I've come by to your computer and I've said, uh-oh, you're in the wrong menu. You need to go over to solid. But I've done some exploring here and I've realized that to do this project, I think it might be better that we go to our surface menu. So I'm going to teach you guys something new here today. In order to accomplish this in the easiest way that I can think of, we're going to do a surface extrusion. So I'm going to hover over this button right here that says extrude. It's orange, so it's a little bit different than the other extrusion that we've done in the past. So I'm going to click extrude. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on not the shape. You can see as I hover over here, it's going to pick the shape. Instead, I'm going to pick the lines. Each individual line of my entire sketch. So what it's going to do once I have them all selected is it's not going to extrude a solid this time. Instead, it's going to only extrude the edge of the line. And the distance that I'm going to extrude it is going to be the thickness. Did I type that in? No, I did not. The thickness of whatever I measured my wand or whatever desirable amount of thickness that I want my wand to be. And then I'm going to click OK. So now if I rotate, you're going to notice, first of all, if I go to a top or a front view, that the line has no thickness. It's infinitely thin. Okay? So it has no mass. So it's like I've just extruded a wall. So you can kind of see that if I start to tilt it around. Now, from here, I'm still in the surface menu. I'm going to come down and look. Actually, I'm going to point this out too. Under the bodies folder, you're going to notice you've got a lot of folders over here. If I open up the bodies folder, you're going to see, depending on how many lines you had in your sketch and how many lines you extruded, each one is going to become a separate surface. So here I have a number of surfaces, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create and thicken each of these surfaces. Okay, I'm going to start with this surface here. So I just clicked this middle surface. You can really do any one in any order, it doesn't matter, but I would recommend doing them one at a time. So you'll notice that it highlights and it turns blue. When I'm thickening a surface, I'm basically saying to add in the dimension going out in the direction that the arrow is showing. So if I go to the top view, right now, if I were to put in 0.125, you'll see that it's just thickened it out in the direction of the arrow. but I want it to go and thicken in both directions equally. So I'm going to go to this little direction bar here, or drop down, and I'm going to say symmetrical. The word symmetrical means equally in both directions. But that's too thick, because if I zoom in, it went out 0.125 this direction and also 0.125 in this direction. So I'm going to want to divide that number by 2. It didn't let me do that. Let me get rid of that inches. There we go. So you don't have to put the inches in. Just do 0.125 divided by 2. So there we go. Now what I have, if I hit OK, give it a second, you'll notice that in our bodies folder, I now have a new body that's now been thickened. Let's try that again. Create, thicken. I can pick multiple surfaces, but I warn you, don't pick surfaces that are touching each other at the same time. And I'll show you why in a second, because I was getting an error. So I'm going to do these two. Or actually, I got, I think, 5 of them selected. 0.125 divided by 2. Look, it was able to do those. But sometimes when you select multiple ones, it won't let you do them at the same time if they intersect. So I've noticed just from doing this prior to demonstrating it that sometimes you have to do them in groups. And if it gives you an error, just escape and pick them one at a time or in small groups. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and try this again. Try and finish it. So I'm going to go thicken. Pick this, 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 and I believe I could do this because they're not intersecting each other, meaning that they're not touching each other while I'm trying to thicken them. So I'm going to go 0.125 divided by 2. Oh, see the error down there? So that's telling me that I must, that's because this one is intersecting this one, so I must have picked them at the same time. So I'm glad that I did that for you during this video so that you can see what not to do. So I only want, let's see here, I'll pick from over here. 0.125 divided by 2. Ooh, that one's going to be a problem. I'll have to look at that one later. Okay, so if you have problems with some of these, I might have to come by for self-intersection issues. Okay, so the next thing, once you have it all done, and for the sake of time in this video, I'm only going to do a couple, you might want to round this. You might not want it to be square. If that's the case, you're going to want to combine these bodies. Because like right now, and here's what I'm going to do just for the sake of this demonstration, I am going to delete these surfaces just so I have only remaining these bodies. Okay. I'm going to take, let's see here, this body, let's see which bodies I have here. Turn that one off. So when you have all of your bodies converted from the surface, we're going to want to combine all these bodies because you're going to notice that there's an edge. These two things are intersecting each other. So when you're ready to combine them all into a solid object, what you're going to do is you're going to hold your shift button, left click, and you're going to highlight all the bodies, and you're going to go to the modify, and you're going to combine these bodies. I don't see it under this menu, so I think I have to go back to my solid menu. Here it is. Under your solid menu, go to body, highlight, modify, combine. And there it is. And you're going to say, okay. And now you'll notice that there are no more little seams or edges between the two intersecting bodies. Now I can fillet it. So let's say I wanted to turn this into like a circular round piece. Now I can pick all my edges and I can round them. Because I know the one that I measured was rounded. So if I pick the top edge, the bottom edge, and there's going to be a lot of clicking, but you know what? Click away. And you can turn this into a circular rod. So I would use the radius of this, so that would be 0.0, and I'm going to go smaller than 0.0625. Looks like I missed a selection. Right there. There it goes. See it? There's the top edge rounded, and then I would flip it over to the back side, and I would add all of the ones on the bottom side, and it would turn into like a circular structure. Okay? So that is using surface extrusions. I am going to stop the video, if I can find it.